This program is rated PG. It contains themes and scenes which may not be suitable for very young audiences. Parental guidance is advised.
We're working to connect a region of over 600 cultural bridges between our lands.
Hello and welcome to ASEAN in Focus. I'm Maricar Velasco delivering to you the latest news in and around the ASEAN region. And now to the news. Malacanang on Thursday reiterated its stand on the verbal fishing agreement with China following the remarks of Cabinet Secretary Carlo Nograles and Foreign Affairs Secretary Teodoro Locsin Jr.
Ang sinasabi ko kung ano yung sinabi ni Presidente. Kung ibang interpretasyon ng mga kasama natin, they're entitled to their own interpretation.
Panelo said the position of the president on the issue has not changed and that the verbal agreement is actually being enforced now, which is to observe peace in the area so that the Filipinos there can fish. On Wednesday, Locsin said the supposed verbal fishing deal between Duterte and Chinese President Xi Jinping is not a policy, while Nograles said the agreement is the commitment to talk and to enter into good working conditions. Panelo said the line of questioning on whether the government will allow China to fish in the West Philippine Sea was crafted on a wrong premise, since the Chinese had already been there and had been claiming the disputed area as their own.
Ang problema kasi, yung tanong na yun, na will you allow? Ano bang allow? Eh, nandun na nga sila. They're there. As far as they're concerned, they own it. Oh, kaya nga kami nag-usap na lang na, pwede ba? Yung wag istorbo yung aming mga mangingisda doon.
He maintained that aggressively forcing the application of the provision in the Article 12 of the Constitution would only result in a worse situation for the Filipino fishermen. Malacanang on Thursday said the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources should validate a reported destruction of reef ecosystems in Panatag or Scarborough Shoal and Spratly Islands due to Chinese reclamation and illegal fishing activities.
I think this is under Department of Agriculture kasi yung fisheries sa kanya. They should conduct a study on that. To validate that particular finding of one particular group.
The University of the Philippines Marine Science Institute reportedly said the Philippines loses about 33.1 billion pesos every year due to the damaged coral reefs in the disputed area of the West Philippine Sea. Panelo said the Philippine government will undertake measures based on its own investigation.
Yeah, we will have to make our own study. The specific department concerned with that should conduct an inquiry on that matter, and then the government will undertake measures.
Asked if government is alarmed by the UP marine scientist findings, Panelo replied they will always be concerned if it affects the security of the state and it affects the general welfare of the people. Panelo said the Philippine Coast Guard should also enforce the country laws to prevent poaching activities within the country's exclusive economic zone.
They should know. They're the Coast Guards.
And we don't know?
You know, I don't think so. You know, because you're asking me. The Coast Guards have their own specific duty in accordance with law.
The Malaysian producer of the Leonardo DiCaprio-starred film The Wolf of Wall Street was arrested Thursday on suspicion of money laundering as part of investigations into the 1MDB scandals, officials said. Riza Aziz was detained in Malaysia after questioning by graft investigators and will appear in court Friday to face charges, according to Latifa Koya, head of the anti-corruption agency. Riza is the stepson of Malaysia's disgraced ex-leader Najib Razak and the son of the country's former First Lady Rosma Mansor. Both Najib and Rosma have been charged over the plundering of State Fund 1MDB. A second agency official who spoke anonymously also said the arrest was linked to investigations into 1MDB. Billions of dollars were looted from the investment vehicle, allegedly by Najib and his cronies, and spent on everything from yachts to pricey artworks in a globe-spanning fraud. Riza co-founded the Hollywood company Red Granite Pictures, and U.S. officials allege that it was bankrolled by huge sums of pilfered 1MDB cash. As well as The Wolf of Wall Street, a 2013 film about a massive stock market scam that netted its perpetrator millions of dollars. It produced the Jim Carrey movie Dumb and Dumber 2 and Daddy's Home, starring Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg. In May, some $57 million forfeited by Red Granite was returned to Malaysia and put into an account set up to recover money looted from 1MDB. The 1MDB scandal played a major role in Najib's election loss last year. Malaysia's new government has reopened probes into 1MDB, and Najib went on trial in April over the allegations. The U.S. Department of Justice, which is seeking to seize assets bought by or with 1MDB money in the U.S., believes some $4.5 billion was looted from the fund. When we come back, our resident ASEAN resource person, Dr. Carlos Tabunda Jr., interviews Mr. Philip Roscamp, Counselor for Public Diplomacy at U.S. Embassy. Stay tuned.
When visiting the Philippines, Manila or Quezon City is a popular destination. But oftentimes the hustle and bustle of the city can be more stressful on your vacation. So when you feel the need to reconnect to nature or relax again, there's a beautiful oasis just outside of the city called the Garden at Ciudad de Victoria. Some of the species that you can see here include hydrangea, snapdragon, and stargazers. They're truly beautiful. The gardens at Ciudad de Victoria are so peaceful, tranquil, and beautiful that it's become a haven for young couples and a very popular venue for engagement photos. The next time you want an escape from the big city, the garden at Ciudad de Victoria is a wonderful place to visit.
Welcome back to ASEAN in Focus. I'm Kaloy Tabunda from the New Era University ASEAN Studies Center. July 4 is the U.S. Independence Day. Here we also celebrate the U.S.-Philippine Friendship Day. And today we're honored to have as guest Mr. Philip Roscamp, the Counselor for Public Diplomacy at the U.S. Embassy, to help us discuss U.S.-Philippine relations. Mr. Roscamp, or can I call you Philip?
Please call me Philip, Carlos.
It's a career public diplomacy officer with the U.S. Department of State. Prior to arriving in the Philippines, he served as Deputy Director in the Office of Australia, New Zealand and Pacific Island Affairs, Public Affairs Officer in Mumbai, India, Assistant Information Officer in Jakarta, Indonesia, and Watch Officer in the State Department Operations Center. He also served in Dakar, Senegal and Okinawa, Japan. Public diplomacy focus areas include strategic planning, digital outreach, and disaster communications. Welcome to the program, Philip.
Hey, Carlos.
Nice to have you here in the program.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Okay, you're new here. You're new here in the Philippines.
That's right, that's right. So I've been here for about 11 months with my family. I don't know if I'm the first Texan to be on Net 25, but maybe the first San Antonio native.
So you're the ambassador of Texas now.
That's right, the ambassador of Texas. So dual-headed, public affairs officer and ambassador of Texas.
Okay.
It's an unpaid yet quite important position. Yeah.
So how do you find your 11 months here so far?
Yeah, it's been fantastic. You know, the hospitality of the Filipino people has been great. My wife loves it. My kids love it. And I think most importantly for me, the work is really intriguing.
Okay.
It's really important work, and we've got some fantastic Filipino partners. We got to celebrate with them July 4th and Philippine-American Friendship Day, and it's really been quite fantastic. I think in the Foreign Service, or in this embassy, we have one of the best ambassadors in the business, and Ambassador Sung Kim. Man, the first 11 months have really been a dream come true.
Okay, you were in Indonesia, Jakarta, so there's so much. How do you find, what's the similarity or difference between Jakarta and Manila?
You know, it was a fantastic experience being in Jakarta, and I'll say that there was just really a buzz or an energy around Southeast Asia, and we find that same energy here in Manila. You've got a huge population, 110 million people, some people doing some amazing things, and so there are a lot of parallels. I think when we're working with youth in Indonesia, youth here, man, these are kids who want to change their communities, who want to change the country, and so, man, every day you get up and you get inspired because, you know, young people in Southeast Asia really want to make a difference.
Okay. Yesterday, July 4, we just celebrated the Philippine-American Friendship Day, and of course, U.S. Independence Day.
Yep.
So, what can you say about the present state of the relationship between the Philippines and the United States?
I'll say, well, let me rewind back to Wednesday, July 3rd, when we had our big July 4th reception. It was a fantastic demonstration of the friendship between our people. You know, Secretary Foreign Affairs Locsin came and delivered some incredible remarks. I didn't know this about him, but apparently he's an old speechwriter. And
yeah, he was a speechwriter of a previous president.
That's right. Well, Cory Aquino did her speech when she addressed the U.S. Congress, and so
how do you remember that?
so the ambassador delivered great remarks. Secretary Locsin delivered great remarks. It really was a fantastic sort of A-list crowd. Senate President Soto was there, and Secretary Dominguez, among others. Even Pia Wurzbach. We got some Pia Wurzbach pictures.
Miss Universe.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So to me, you know, the fact that there was such a huge turnout and everybody had such a great time really says something about the friendship. I think for us, you know, there are sort of three ways we try and think about the relationship. There's the friendship between our people, the partnership between our governments, and then the alliance between our militaries. And I think in all three of those areas, we're doing some amazing stuff together.
So how do you think how strong is it now, given the current challenges we're facing?
I have an 11-month perspective, and I think we're doing some pretty amazing things. Maybe like starting backwards, you know, on the military side, we've got over 280 engagements together every year between our militaries.
The Balikatan exercises.
We've got, among others, the Balikatan is one of the main ones. You know, we've got the Mutual Defense Treaty, signed 1951. You are only one of our 5 treaty allies in Asia. In terms of what our governments are doing, you know, the U.S. Agency for International Development and across the embassy, law enforcement, other offices, working really hand in hand with the Philippine government, and then to that friends piece, that people-to-people piece. You know, there are 4 million Filipino Americans in the United States, which is one of the largest Asian American diasporas. At any given time, there are about 350,000 Americans here in the Philippines. So we have this sort of real bedrock of friendship, and so. You know, Philippine-American Friendship Day, you know, started in 1956. If we fast forward to today, we've even got an entire month in the United States dedicated to Filipinos and American. It's Filipino-American History Month every October, and that's the only...
Oh, the Filipino-American History Month
every October, and so that's the only Asian diaspora group that has a month dedicated to the relationship. So I think those are pretty good signals that things are strong.
What do they do during that month? What are the activities?
Yeah, so around the country, Filipino diaspora communities will do cultural events, and they'll do food events, and really do a celebration of, you know, Filipino culture in the United States. Here on the embassy side, we try and engage with, you know, with PhilAms and you know, show that we have this unique cultural and historical bond between us.
So you're the public information officer of the U.S. Embassy here in the Philippines, and I think one of your major programs are your youth engagement activities. Can you expound on this?
Absolutely. So we've got sort of I think of the best metaphor would be Baskin Robbins or 31 flavors.
Baskin Robbins. Okay.
we do so many things.
I like that, but I try to control myself.
I'm a mint chocolate chip guy. What about you?
Me too. Mint chocolate.
But so, and what I mean by that is just to say we do tons with youth. So maybe just a couple things to begin with. One of our most important lines of effort or engagements with Filipino youth is on education.
Yes. Yes.
You know, what I find is that Filipino youth, they're really interested in finding opportunities to not just be competitive amongst their peers in the Philippines, but globally competitive. And so one of the best ways of doing that is through education. We have a service at the embassy. It's called Education USA.
Education USA. Okay.
It is 100% free. It is 100% objective. We are not agents that are paid to put students at certain universities. What we are is just a free information service.
So this is a free service provided by the embassy. Okay.
That helps Filipino students find the right fit for them in terms of education. I will say, you know, as a U.S. diplomat, you know, I talk about the strength of the U.S. university system. But as a human being, for me, the most important thing is that any student, American, Filipino, Japanese, finds the best fit. What Education USA is here to do is to help Filipinos who are thinking about undergraduate or master's or PhD studies. What is the best fit? And if that happens to be in the school in the United States, that's fantastic. And so Education USA will provide free advising. We do information sessions on how to do college applications, how to apply for financial aid. We do college fairs. I'll just plug for your viewers at home.
Yes.
We're going to do some...
We'll talk about the details later.
We're going to do two graduate school fairs in September. September 27th in Cebu and September 28th in Manila. And those are fairs where we bring over graduate schools from the United States. They set up booths, and it's a great opportunity for students and parents and educators to come check them out and see if any of those schools would be the right fit.
Yeah, I'm actually with the New Era University ASEAN Studies Center, and I handle international relations. Perhaps you can have one of those booths here at the New Era University.
And we'll education outreach is one of the best things that we can do, and so yeah, absolutely, we'd love to figure out what we can do together.
And the fact remains that the U.S. is still one of the still actually the favorite academic destination of Filipino students.
It's a I got to tell you.
Why do you think so?
It's a great news story, man. I mean, I'd like to think that certainly there's a linguistic connection, right? And so that helps. But I also think that American universities, both in terms of the facilities that we have available, the quality of the education, and you know, within the classroom, our classrooms are really diverse. I think those things have developed a reputation for U.S. universities that means if you make the investment to study in the States, you're going to get the bang for your buck. So I would say last year we had an increase of over 7% of Filipino students going to the United States. So now we're at about 3,200 Filipinos at U.S. schools, and we've got about 460 American students at Filipino schools. We would love to see more Americans come here, and we're talking to Ched.
Okay, we'll repeat that there are more Filipino students now in the United States. Last year there's an increase of 7%.
7%, which is great, which means that that you know, our enhanced outreach efforts, we think, are reaching more people. We have a new advising center in Cebu, and so we think it's a great story, and we hope more choose the U.S.
Okay, we will talk more about the different educational opportunities for Filipinos in the United States and the other programs of the U.S. Embassy in Manila when ASEAN in Focus returns.
Net25 shows live and on demand, anytime, anywhere, on any mobile device on OSN Play.
The Cine Bata Video Festival is calling for submission of entries. With this year's theme, United in Love. If you are a Filipino video content creator, show us your best work for a chance to represent the Philippines. Deadline of submission is on August 30, 2019. For inquiries, visit or contact the following.
Hi everyone, I'm Ria Marikio, and today I'm here at the Japanese Gardens in Portland, Oregon. If you want to experience greenery and unique landscaping, as well as peace, tranquility, tune in to EBC Digital Nest. I'm Ria Marikio, and I'm 1 with 25.
Diskusyon, Biyernes, alas 8 hanggang alas 9 ng gabi.
Okay, we're back with an interview here with Mr. Philip Roskamp, the Counselor for Public Diplomacy at the U.S. Embassy. Philip, earlier we were talking about the Education USA. So, can you take us through the process of how Filipinos can, avail the services of Education USA?
You know, I think the simplest catchphrase for any student anywhere looking to study overseas is you got to do your homework. So for us, that one-stop shop for doing your homework is Education USA.
So it's a one-stop shop.
That's right. So you can find us online. You know, the easiest thing might be to go to Google and type in Education USA Philippines, but you can also email them educationusaph@state.gov. They've got an online presence as well on Facebook, and so just look up Education USA Philippines, and you can see what upcoming events there are. So in addition to the graduate school fairs in September that I mentioned, we do undergraduate fairs every spring, where we bring over about
Spring is September?
Spring and then like February and March.
Okay.
And so we will bring out about 4 dozen U.S. universities, both in Cebu and Manila.
Okay, so 4 dozen U.S. universities come here in Cebu and Manila to offer their services.
And what I will say is that as we've experienced this increase in the number of Filipino students going to the United States, we've also experienced an increase in the number of U.S. schools that want to come meet Filipino students. I'll say that the feedback that we've received from universities that have come to a couple of our college fairs is that year after year, the quality of the Filipino students coming to get information and apply continues to go up. So they're pretty impressed with you guys.
Okay, I like that. Okay, so why do you think, why should Filipino students choose to study in the United States instead of other countries?
You know, I think that the value of a U.S. education is really in the diversity in the classroom, the quality of the curriculum, and the quality of the faculty. And I think that what international students find is that when they come back to their home country, in this case the Philippines, armed with a U.S. degree, a lot of doors will open. We find a lot of, let's say for example, folks who go and do a master's degree in the United States, that really unlocks some opportunities for middle management and even up in senior management.
So you think I can take my postdoctorate degree in
yes,
the US?
come study. You can come study in my home state. Yeah.
Okay, I will count you.
Yeah.
I will count you on that. So what's the success rate of Filipino applicants getting accepted to U.S. schools?
You know, I don't know what the acceptance rate is, but I know that these anecdotes that students go there and they're successful, that more are interested, and that more and more American schools are coming to meet with Filipino students. Those are all good signs. I don't think that we actually break it down by acceptance or denial or refusal based on nationality. But you know, there are some Filipino students who are applying and getting into the most competitive schools in the United States. We just featured online, for example, a student who got accepted to MIT, as well as some Ivy League schools, and she basically had her choice of what school to go to. And she's not the only student like that. What a great success story that is.
So far, which are the most popular schools that Filipinos apply?
You know, that's a good question. You know, in general, Texas and California.
Oh, you're from Texas.
Yeah, but so in terms of the parts of the country where they want to go, New York, Texas, and California tend to be really big draws, and those are big states with lots of programs.
Filipino populations there.
Well, and I think what's appealing for a lot of Filipinos is that when they go to the States, if they have relatives or friends there, they've got a safety net that's built in. Either they might live together, or maybe even just go over for dinner to get adobo or whatever it might be on a Saturday night.
That's very Filipino.
That's right. That's right.
You have families everywhere, even in the United States, and you go to them. They act as the support system for foreign students.
That's right, and that's important. I mean, maybe you just need to to see a familiar face from home, or have a dish that reminds you of home. But having that support system is quite helpful.
I would like to repeat this question. So, what's your advice for Filipinos wanting to avail of these services by the U.S. The embassy?
So the catchphrase is you got to do your homework, and the way that we help you do that is by going to Education USA. So go look us up online, or you can email us at educationusaph@state.gov.
Any requirements they should prepare before going there?
You know, they should just look online and see what's there. Now, I would say, you know, you get different types of students looking for opportunities. Some are dead set; they know exactly what they want. Others are, it's kind of like they're at the grocery store or at the buffet. They don't know exactly what they want, and so some are just trying to figure out what the opportunities are. And so we welcome both kinds of students.
And they can access the scholarships.
So there's information on financial aid Education USA can provide, and I think the system in the States is a little bit different than in the Philippines, in that a lot of individual universities in America will offer financial aid. So that's something that a student should do their homework on as well, depending on the schools that they want to attend and where they get accepted, who offers a financial aid package.
Okay, what are some? Do you think what are some specific issues that the specific education literacy concerns that for example, the declining English proficiency in the Philippines? How should this be addressed?
Yeah, so I think that we're doing some good work. I think with DepEd on English education. We actually had an American English teacher here working with DepEd and working with teachers to do a train the trainers program. And so I think that opportunity to work with DepEd on an English curriculum. One of the things that I think DepEd wants to improve is some of its reading programs. And so we're talking about ways to help that.
So you're dealing with DepEd?
That's right. We have a great relationship with them, and they've been fantastic partners.
Okay, especially in the English proficiency.
That's right.
Although we will talk more about the issues on the English proficiency among Filipinos. You can catch this whole interview with Dr. Philip Roskamp in ASEAN in Focus Weekend Edition. It will be shown Saturday. In the meantime, thank you very much, Philip, for gracing our program.
Thank you so much.
In the meantime, I'm Kaloy Tabunda. I'm on with 25. Back to you, Maricar.
And that is the latest news in the Southeast Asian nations. Stay updated about the ASEAN region. I'm Maricar Velasco, and I am one with 25.